Hello, welcome back to Spy Money. We're going to talk about workspaces, how you can use them, how to utilize them, and what they can do for you. So on mine, if you click on them, you can see I have one open. Now I'm going to show you a little trick though. If you're running, if you're constantly saving it and you have a lot of these up here, then you will have all these running in the background. So I'm going to click on like Brad, and you won't see anything because it's on different monitors. But when it finishes loading, there's a lot of charts on that one right there. So now it's finished. There's a lot of spaces taken up. So if I come over here and click on close, let me move one of these over. Let's see, I'll move a couple. There's say 2 windows there. There's a whole bunch more, but let's just say that. So we're going to come over here, and when we click on close, it will actually close those particular ones. Now it opened up under the entitled, but now it's not any gray in there. So if I would click back on, say 3, and open that one up, then this one is grayed out. That means it's running. So if I click back on it, then come back, that one's grayed. You don't want those running if you're doing anything. You want to close them out. So if you just hover on them and click close, then that will close it out. You can choose to save or not. And now when you come up, you're only running one set. So they run in the background. So if you might have, like on bot windows, I think I've got about 13 charts running. And then on this one, I'm not sure how many. There's a bunch of them on there. But when I click on it, it will open all those up. And then when they're not grayed, or when they are grayed out, then they're still running in the background, which takes up all your memory and so forth. So you got to make sure those stay closed out. You don't need them if you're not running them. And if you end up going to, like, say the 3, and then when it loads, you come back, and then you want to go ahead and close the untitled. Okay, so you don't want that running at the same time. So we're going to come back to, we're going to close that one out. And this is probably one of the most important things as far as like your memory, how much RAM your NinjaTrader's using. These will take a lot of memory. So if you're having trouble on playback and so forth, when you're running back testing, this is a huge area, and it's something that NinjaTrader helped me with. Told me that I need to close them out. It just takes up so much RAM. So we're back on untitled. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make some new charts. So let's say you've got this one, and let's change that to a 1 minute just for the giggles of it. And then if you come up here and if you right click on the top bar, you'll see duplicate window. So you can duplicate that chart. Oops. And that way you don't have to create a new one and so forth. And we're going to do it again and drag this over. So now we've got 3 charts in here. So by using the 3 charts, you are, well, actually, I tell you what, we're going to add some more to it. We're going to drag this one down to about there, and we're going to drag this one down to about right there, and then we're going to go ahead and add 2 more charts. And then do the same thing down here. So now we've got 5 charts altogether. So we've got the main chart that we want to use, and let's say that that's where we're going to do all of our charting and so forth on, but we want all of these others to work together. So what we can do is we can click on this first one and make it a red, and you make them all the same color. Don't matter what color you choose. And I'm going to leave that one alone so you'll see it don't move. So now if I change this one to, say, NQ, it changed all of these other 3, but still ES right there. So you've got NQ, NQ, NQ. So it's making all these the same. Now, let's say I want to change the time frame. So if I go to a 5 minute here, the rest of them never changed. Well, if I go into the interval link, and if I make this a red, and say I want this chart to change, and I want this chart to change. So, but I want these 2 charts to not. So now when I go back to a 1 minute, you notice these changed to a 1 minute. I'm sorry. These 3, see what did I do here? Let me go to a 15 minute. There it is, because these are already on 1 minute. So you've got a 15 minute here, a 15 minute there, and a 15 minute here, but this one's still 1 minute, and this one's a 1 minute. So if I come up here and change this to CL, then that's going to change all 4 of these to CL, but since this one is not linked, this one just stays by itself. Now if I link this one, now it changed to CL. Now if I make this interval, then it will change the minute too. So now all of these charts, well, except this one, we'll make it red. So now all of these charts will be the same. Different reasons for why you would do that, but you can make these charts interlink with each other to where you can just work off of one. So if you've got, maybe you've got this one on, let's say you've got this one on a different kind of candle. So if you come up here and you go, and maybe this one's a Unirenko, and so that changed all of these together. So now if you did, I think it's this one, if I change this one back to a 1 minute, yeah, there it is. So if you have the interval turned off, then it will leave these the way they were, but it will still change like your instrument itself. So if you do that, so see your ES changed up here as well. So you can make this like you have that on that candle, and if you turn this one off, there's no interval. And then if you go to data series, and maybe you make this a maybe you got it on a range, and say you wanted this one to be on so you can do this on the Heikin-Nashi, and then you could I got to change this, turn this one off here. I didn't turn those off. So if you turn your interval makes everything stay the same. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to range on this one. So now you've got, well, that was on the range too. If you do this one on, say you want this one a 15 range, you could have that on the 15 range, this on a 4 range. You could have that on the candle. You have this one on the Heikin-Nashi, and then you could have, say you had this one on Unirenko. So now you've got different charts with different candles, so you can watch different things. Because sometimes, you know, when you're looking at the Renko, Unirenko, or actually, it'll not give you really what you need. But if you look at different candles, then maybe it will allow you to see something a little different. But now you can come down and you can hit gold, and all of them will change to gold because they all have the red instrument link. So the instrument link is making sure they all stay on the same instrument, and then the interval link is making sure that they stay in sync with everything you change to one. I use this quite a bit, but I use it mainly on no interval. I use the instrument link, and that way whenever I flip through, then I can look at different things. I can look at different time frames and everything at the same time. Now another thing you can do is down here. I didn't show this before. Well, let's do this first. So if I bring this down, and let's say I have all these the way I want them saved. I want them just like this. So now we come up untitled, and now we're going to go ahead and save as. So when we save as, we're going to call this one, we'll call it 5 charts. And I'll put course. So when I save this, now we have this one as 5 course. So if I change this one to 3, then it's going to go back to, there's nothing on here. The 1 chart. So we've got the 1 chart. Now we can come back and flip back to the 5 charts. So you can actually call this, if you had workspaces, you can, instead of having different charts everywhere, you can have like ES here. You could call one of them NQ, and you could click on NQ, and then it would flip back to your NQ. So you could use your workspaces that way. That would be an idea. Another way is if you have, say you're trading wheat, and if you're trading wheat and you have it set up one way, then you could go up here and look for wheat and then click on it. And then if you're going to have one that is trade the NASDAQ or the NQ, or there's all kinds of different scenarios that you could do. But this allows you to actually pick what you want. Now, if you're not going to use that one, make sure you close it so you don't use up all your data as far as the RAM and stuff on your computer. Because NinjaTrader will hog that a lot, and especially if you're running playback. And we're going to talk about playback here in a little bit. So that's one way to use your workspaces. You're really kind of limited of what you want to do. By using those workspaces and tying this together and using your different instrument links and your intervals, that's a big difference as far as making it a lot better for you. So I hope that helps you understand your workspaces. And also, let's see, let me show you this other thing. I'll go ahead and do this while I'm at it. If you go to, let me find it here before I, okay, this will, let's say you had to redo NinjaTrader. If you go to Documents, go to NinjaTrader, and if you come down to Workspaces, if you just go ahead and highlight all these and then right click, and if you send it to a zip file, and it'll put it right there. So we're going to call this one Workspace. And that way you can actually save this outside of this file, and then whenever you get this back in, then you can bring these back over. So when you right click it or left click and double click, here's all of those that information. So if you come back, they're exactly the same. So if you extract all, actually I can't do that right there because it'll overwrite, but this is where you would save them. And if you put this in another file folder as a backup, and then reload your NinjaTrader, and then you can open these up and then save them in this spot, then you'll not lose any information. So that's one way to utilize the workspaces to help you out. So that's all I've got on the workspaces. Have any questions or anything, let me know. It's limited to what you can do, unlimited. What you can do is just a matter of thinking outside the box with what you want. Just remember to always close those out when you're not using them so you don't use up that much memory, because it will take a lot of memory. And that should help you out.